If you're looking to level up the production value of the tutorials that you're making or videos that require screen recording of any kind, that's exactly what we're talking about today as we take a look at this video by Adil Constantine, this week on Feedback Friday. So this video by Adil Constantine is part screen recording / product review / tutorial. And at the end of the video, it's part music performance. So there's two types of videos here that we're gonna be breaking down. The first part is really all about how to make a good screen recording and how to share the product that you're reviewing or giving a tutorial on your screen. And the second part is all about how to make your studio look good and how to have a good polished setup. First things first, let's take a look at how Adil has handled doing the tour of the software that he's reviewing. Now, this happens to be a plugin for an audio program, but it could be Photoshop, it could be Premiere. It doesn't matter what type of video you're making, all these tips still apply. Now, Adil did say that he wished he'd planned and prepared a little bit more for the tour and the review of this video, and I agree, that's probably a key point. When you're doing a tutorial or a review, you really want to plan out and rehearse what you're going to show on screen. That way, not only is your mouse not stumbling around and clicking the wrong things, but you're not saying and ah and having weird pauses that you might need to edit out in the edit.
Here we have the same thing, reverb, release, tightness.
Now, I'm no stranger to online learning. I've been doing online learning courses and tutorials for software since like 2003 on every platform imaginable. And the one thing that really stands out that I find as a student when I'm watching these tutorials is that anytime you get into a really complicated software UI, like this one that Adil is in, or like Photoshop or Premiere or Resolve, where you have tons of tiny little UI elements. Anytime the instructor or the editor takes the time to zoom into those tiny UI elements and or show the mouse cursor where it is on the screen so that you can follow along, I find that to be really helpful. And anytime you're doing something, especially on YouTube, where someone might be looking at it on a small screen, zooming in to show those things is extremely helpful. I've tested a bunch of different ways of using this, using Quicktime for free that's built into the Mac, using Camtasia, and using Screenflow. The cheapest way to do this, of course, is to use the free screen recording software that you have, and then in your editor, zoom in and zoom out of those different points that you want to focus on manually. By doing your screen recording and making the investment in a more advanced software like Camtasia or Screenflow, you have those options to really simply change the way your cursor looks. You can increase the size, you can add effects anytime that you clicked on the screen during your screen recording, and you have the option to toggle on any keyboard shortcuts that you used. All those things layered onto your final video will add value to your production and make it easier for your viewers to follow along where you're clicking on the screen. And if it's a tutorial, they can follow along with those keyboard shortcuts, so you're not always saying press Command Z, Command Y anytime you're doing a keyboard shortcut in the tutorial. I've tried Camtasia and Screenflow, and I actually really like Screenflow for a couple of reasons. One, it's cheaper than Camtasia, and two, the way that you can edit the mouse clicks, the zoom animations is really simple. Now, this next thing might be a personal preference, but it's something that I see done in a lot of high production value tutorials like lynda.com or anything that you'd pay a lot of money for, like Masterclass, for example. And that's not only showing the screen recording, but cutting back to the instructor, both looking at the camera or just having like a really nice slider shot of them typing on the computer or pointing to the screen. Anytime you can cut back and forth between those two things, especially if your set looks nice, which we'll talk about next, that all adds production value and makes your videos look a little bit more polished and professional. Another thing you can do is that if you are recording those multiple angles with the screen recording is not just cut between the two of them, but shrink yourself down and fit yourself somewhere in the UI so that the whole time that someone's looking at the screen over here, that you're also looking at them in the camera or they can see what you're doing. That's another popular thing that we see in really high polished like screen recording tutorial / review things, but it's up to you to be creative to figure out what style you want to do. But having those multiple camera angles and figuring out a way to cut between the two or show yourself in the UI is a good way to keep your audience from falling asleep and dozing looking at a really complicated UI screen with tiny text all over the place. So what are 3 things that make your video look polished and give that feeling of a professional video to the viewers that are coming to your channel? First of all, you got to make sure that the lighting and the video actually looks good. You don't want it to look like a cell phone video if you're going for that professional look. Of course, the second thing that makes your videos look nice, professional, and polished is the way that you integrate graphics and different shots throughout the edit. Adil's done a good job here of having different types of graphics, different lower thirds. He cuts to the screenshots when he's talking about the screen, and he has title cards that mark different sections of his video. All good things that help the viewer kind of navigate the video that you're talking about, and things that make your video look professional and polished. Whether you're doing a talking head setup, a review like Adil's done here, like I'm doing right now, cutting to different shots like what's on screen, or cutting to B-roll of different things that are representative of what you're talking about, help keep the audience engaged and interested throughout the video. And to go one step further, if you're doing like a DIY type video or a music performance like Adil is here, taking the time to set up multiple cameras or just do different shots of the action that you're doing really help bring that edit together and bring it alive and keep the audience engaged as the video goes on. Now, you can do a multi-cam setup with 4 screens or 2 screens or 3 screens like Adil's done in this edit, or you can just simply cut from those different angles. That's more of a stylistic choice that's up to you. Once you have all those angles, then you have the options in the edit to either piece them together to tell the story that you want to keep things interesting, or you can do a 4-up, a 3-up, or just have a multicam setup like Adil's done here to show all those angles at a different time. It's really dependent on the story that you're telling and the type of video that you want to make. If you're struggling with the story of your video and you want to learn a little bit more about how to tell a good story, you can check the Feedback Friday playlist here and find the videos where I talk a little bit more about story. If you're trying to make a good product review video, you can check out this video that's all about making a good product review video. If you made it this far and you found some good value in this video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe for more Feedback Friday episodes, and until next Friday, bye for now.